and this is a question lots of people have been asking me about Florence, if it's heading to the UK, because often they get swept up by the jet stream and head towards us. Florence isn't, but there's another one in the Atlantic called Helene that's tracking its way towards the UK by Monday, and it's set to bring really extreme weather, heavy rain and gales in the west, so feeling autumnal, but it also could bring tropical air, and temperatures will be back up to 30, 31 degrees by the start of next week. So this crazy sort of two-way world of what storms can bring to the UK.
So we could still get super hot weather even though there's the rain and the wind coming too?
Yeah, because it brings all the warmth up and it sort of just brings tropical air back to towards our shores. So sort of like a double-edged sword, really. Yeah.
And what about Florence as things stand? Because I think it's about now that it starts hitting and it starts getting worse. We've seen some pictures. I think there's a live shot right now. You can see the wind and the rain. So battering that live shot, and the live shot's broken.
Oh, yes. So, I mean, I'm literally going to be on my laptop all morning giving everyone the latest, but it's literally imminently about to make landfall. The outer bands have been battering the coast for a long time now. Now, the hurricane-force winds stretch 80 miles from the centre of this storm. So just because of where it's hitting, that's not going to be the worst place. With a stretch 80 miles that way, 80 miles that way, there's still this whole firing line. And outside of that, tropical storm-force winds extend over 150 miles. So, but it isn't the winds that's going to cause the damage. It's this catastrophic storm surge. A huge wall of water is being pushed ahead of this storm. Some places, 11+ feet of water heading into these areas, and they're only sort of a couple of feet high. So
it's going to be extraordinary, isn't it? People have been warned to get out for their own safety. The authorities have said once those winds hit, they can't come out and rescue people.
Our correspondent Nick Dixon is there with the team for us this morning. Let's go straight to you, Nick, because as Laura's saying, the hitting landfall is imminent, and it seems like you're getting battered already.
Yeah, absolutely. Morning, Ben. We are now dealing simply with a very large, very powerful hurricane. Sustained winds, 90 miles per hour, gusts well in excess of 100 miles per hour. It's already been causing all sorts of chaos along the coastline, North Carolina, coastal towns with flooding there, with the waves crashing in, really seriously high waves and strong winds as well. But we've been getting knocked around over the last hour or so here in Wilmington, and the hurricane is about 50 miles or so off the coast, and this is just a very small glimpse of what this hurricane is capable of. It's not going to make landfall for a good few hours yet, potentially late Friday morning into Friday afternoon. That's when we need to start thinking about that storm surge. The forecasters are saying anywhere between 7 and 12 feet, that wall of water slamming into the shoreline. And of course, the very real risk of catastrophic flooding with intense, sustained rainfall coming up, 24, 36 hours of it. And this could cause big problems over the next few days with a very real risk of loss of life. That's something the authorities are very, very concerned about. Many people have lost power tonight as well, 100,000 at the last count, but by Sunday that could well be up to 3 million. 7,000 US troops are on standby to help with rescues and relief, but we're a long way from that because it's not even safe enough to even think about that for now.
No, absolutely. I mean, we know that the authorities, as we were just talking about, had warned people to get out, Nick, but there are those people who've chosen to stay put despite their warnings. How do we think they'll be feeling? I mean, with knowing what's coming their way, but there are people that were adamant that they didn't want to get out despite the warnings.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're just a couple of miles away from Wrightsville Beach, where we've been broadcasting the last couple of nights, and that place is completely cut off. And I was hearing today the police saying about 25% of the residents there opted to stay. They made that decision to stay despite the risk. They were told in no uncertain terms. I mentioned they were told to write their names with marker pens. Some people had the police knocking on their door saying they wanted notes of their next of kin so they could inform them should there be bad news to tell them, which is a very real possibility in this kind of weather. But, a lot of people here have experienced hurricanes. They feel confident. They've got businesses that they've devoted their lives to, and they want to try their best to protect them. But, of course, this kind of weather, who knows if they can really do anything realistically.
In the meantime, Laura can tell us more about exactly where Florence is heading. Laura.
Well, the thing about this hurricane at the moment, it has now been downgraded to a Category 1. Lots of people are saying, well, that doesn't mean it's so bad. But winds are categorised what a storm is going to be. But it's not the winds that are going to be causing the impact. It's the rainfall up to 1,000 millimetres. That is twice the London annual rainfall here in just a few days. They're calling it a once-in-a-thousand-year event. That's how rare this is set to be, with, as Nick was saying, a storm surge of 11 feet, if not higher. It's set to make landfall imminently. It has been very slow-moving, and that's been very dangerous because it will dump a lot of rain over just a few days. Often they track inland very quickly, but it's going to come up against the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, which is going to cause further rainfall, and that will also wash back towards the coast. It makes very slow progress inland and then has its sights set for later over the weekend into next week up towards New York. It won't head towards the UK, but this one is a tropical storm Helene. It's going to move its way northwards. It loses its tropical characteristics as it goes over warm waters. But what it could do by Monday to the UK is bring some very extreme weather. Lots of uncertainty about the detail, but at the moment, Monday or Tuesday, heavy rain, gales or severe gales in the west, but bringing up that tropical air, temperatures in the southeast could bounce back to summer-like highs of 30, 31 degrees. So amazing extremes because tropical storms are heading towards our shores. But it is worth pointing out this one. At the moment, there is a super typhoon heading its way towards the Philippines and then towards Hong Kong next week. Now, this is the biggest storm on Earth at the moment, the biggest storm we have seen all year long. It was equivalent to a Category 5, now equivalent to a Category 4, and this is set to cause devastation over the next few days. So very active atmosphere at the moment, lots of storms, lots of severe weather and flooding, but imminently our concerns are for the Carolinas. Nick Dixon is obviously there at the moment because of Hurricane Florence heading in imminently.